I've got this literal can of sticky notes that I've written words on, and there's about 100 in here. And there are a bunch of words that I wrote down and put in this can that I've had a hard time defining, and I've had experiences of other people having a hard time defining these words. But basically, I'll pick a word out of the can. You can define it or tell us what it means to you or talk about it in some way. Are you game?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm getting the word here. And the word is, ooh, this is a good one. Eternity. So tell
Eternity.
us, give us your thoughts about the word eternity.
I think eternity is it's a great word, um, but it's one of those transcendental words, right? Like the concept behind it is bigger than our ability to imagine. So, it's like in a story where, person falls in love and that's the end of the story, right? And people say, oh, they were happily ever after, right? And I would say eternity and happily ever after are cousins in the sense that it doesn't mean literally forever eternal, right? It just means as long as they are together for, in that sense, right? And so eternity is a proxy in that respect of like it's beyond our ability to imagine, and so we say, oh, that's eternal, um, because if we could measure it, we wouldn't say it was eternal, right? We'd say, oh, it's however many parsecs wide or whatever. So I think it's one of those words that's referring to a big concept that's not necessarily uh, measurable. So we sort of extend into eternity, forever, right? Because, like, you know, love is not necessarily forever. You're going to experience love until you die, and then your experience of love ends. But your feeling for love, right, has this plus 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 added onto it, and you say, oh well, we use language like metaphysical or whatever, right? It's beyond what we call the physical realm, and we insert it into the thought realm, which we some folks say, oh, it's its own dimension. Um, so yeah, I think it's a nice way of saying beyond our ability to imagine.
So you're saying eternity is not measurable?
I mean, like it's like in math, right? You can use infinities, but like infinity is not something that you can actually measure in physical reality. So it's a concept. It's not necessarily something it's not a rock. It's not a person, right? It's not a pair of chopsticks. It's a much bigger, broader concept.
You mentioned the word forever while describing eternity. I'm curious to know, is there a difference between forever and eternity to you?
Not really. They seem to hold very similar value,
Okay.
unless you think that something that is eternal has consciousness or agency. And then one could argue that there is a difference between eternal or eternity and forever. But from where I'm standing, it more or less seems to have the same value. But I'm open to uh, people's ideas on eternity.
I always thought of forever meaning like from now into the future as far as like we could imagine, or like forever into the future, like eternity into the future, whereas eternity to me kind of implies infinity in both directions. If something is eternal, it has always existed. It is eternal. It was forever there in the past, and also will forever be there in the future, and is here now. Like that. kind of, to me, feels like a line I would draw between eternal and for forever. I'll love you forever is a statement that doesn't make sense eternally because I can't love you before we both existed, if that makes sense.
No, I can roll with that. I think a, a distinction that I hadn't thought about before, and it seems legit.
So like eternity goes in both directions, whereas forever only goes in one direction.
Yeah, from the moment you make the statement of this is forever, it's from that point ever onward, in my view.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean that's a legitimate. I mean that's from where I'm standing. That seems totally reasonable. Like you might have even changed my mind. Like that distinction makes a lot of sense. Of saying eternal is forward and backward in the timeline, where forever after or I'll love you forever is from this point onward. Yeah, that's legit.
I think it's actually a shortening of the phrase forevermore, if I'm not mistaken in my etymology. I'll look that up to confirm, but that's a suspicion. Just like goodbye was God be with you.